If you've seen any of my previous movie reviews or watched any of my videos explaining how I feel about some of the movies coming out, such as sequels and repeats and things of that nature, you could probably guess how I felt when I heard that they announced Happy Gilmore 2. And honestly, I wasn't excited. I genuinely wasn't. I didn't feel like the original Happy Gilmore needed anything else, right? Where else could they go? Where else could they take this story of Happy Gilmore, the golfer? That's for simple terms. And I was right. They really didn't take it anywhere else, right? Overall, was it an enjoyable film? Yeah, it was alright. Probably give it a 6.5 out of 7, honestly. But spoiler warning, here it is. Bang bang, spoiler. Within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, they completely undo the entire plot of Happy Gilmore 1, of the original Happy Gilmore. So basically what happens, Happy Gilmore is living the golf life. He's doing great. He's doing fantastic. And then he hits his wife in the head with a golf ball, killing her, which sends him into a drinking spiral, which sends him into losing all of his money and losing Grandma's house. Now, when he lost Grandma's house in the very beginning of the movie, I knew that by the end of it, he will have it back. He's not losing it permanently. But to undermine the first movie in that way just upset me. The entire first movie is and was, I would say, almost the perfect comedy underdog story, right? A hockey player who can't play hockey uses what he knows about shooting hockey to apply that to golf, and he becomes really good at golf. If you haven't seen the first one, and then his grandma's house goes under foreclosure, the bank threatens to sell it off on auction, and Happy Gilmore just suddenly happens to win enough money to buy it back. And the first movie is very good. I enjoy the first movie. It's one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies ever. But like I said, within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the second one, they completely undermined the first film. And that was my first big red flag, I guess you could say. And from there, they basically, with some changes, more or less, play out the events of the first movie, right? Happy Gilmore needs money all of a sudden, and this time it's not to save his grandma's house, it's to send his daughter to ballerina school or dance school or whatever school is in France, right? He needs $330,000 or $300,000, or the movie makes it a point to, although they disclose the actual information, the movie makes it a point that a lot of the people are stupid and they fumble with numbers. They're not good with math. So that's where the 330 came from. I believe the actual figure was 300,000. And of course, what does he do? He plays golf. It basically is the first one with slight differences, right? He's playing golf against this league called the Maxi League, and it's supposed to make golf not boring, right? It's supposed to make golf enjoyable for the normal viewer. And did I laugh? Yeah, there was a couple times I laughed. Did I enjoy all the celebrity cameos? Absolutely, I enjoyed all the celebrity cameos. I think there were 74 of them in total. But was the movie needed? To that, I say no. Could they have done something completely different with Happy Gilmore 2? Absolutely. What that would be, I don't know. Let me think on it, and I might be able to get back to you, right? But to have watched this movie now and to have basically felt like I watched the first one should say enough, right? Should you watch the movie? Sure, absolutely. I'm not undermining the movie, at least to the point where I think no one should watch it, right? It's a good film, Like I said, I gave it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Right, anything under 5 is unwatchable, or I wouldn't watch it again. And for it sitting at a 6.5 out of 7, like I feel like that's a decent score, right? It's not a movie that you're gonna get up thinking, "Wow, this movie changed my life. Wow, this movie was the greatest thing I ever watched." It's not gonna have what Star Wars had on me, right? It's not gonna make you want to go binge watch all of the Adam Sandler's cinematic universe, I guess you could call it, because he has so many movies playing so many characters at this point. It's not going to make you hungry for more Adam Sandler. In fact, it kind of made me less hungry, right? The movie that was recommended almost directly after was Billy Madison, I believe, and I was just kind of done with the Adam Sandler feeling. Sometimes you really just want to sit down and watch a cheesy comedy movie, and who's the king of cheesy comedy movies? Adam Sandler. And while this movie, like I said, was good, was it great? Was it fantastic? Was it marvelous? No. And it felt like it fed too much off of the first film. And I know I'm kind of kicking a dead horse here, but there were things that didn't need to be there that definitely were. Like Eminem's cameo, right? To get Eminem into the movie, they had him play the guy who sits there and screams, "Jackass!" to Happy Gilmore, right? They had him play his son. And was that character necessarily needed? No. Was it funny that they brought it back? Yes. But was the original one a lot funnier? Absolutely. A lot of the Travis Kelce scenes weren't really that great. He was laughing at your mom jokes, I believe, or that's what she said, or that's what he said jokes. And then at one point he was getting covered in honey, and I assume fed to a bear in this realistic dream state. And like I said, as I enjoyed the cameos, there were definitely parts of the movie that did not need to be there. Like Chubbs' son. Chubbs' son was in. And to me, he just didn't need to be there, right? There were a bunch of things that just felt like there was no reason behind them. They were just trying to make people think about the first movie as much as possible, in my opinion. And while accomplishing that, I feel like they're trying to bank off the nostalgic factor of this movie, right? One of my biggest last complaints is the use of AI. It is not confirmed, but is not denied either, how much AI they actually used in this movie. Now, I feel like they may have used a lot because, again, it is a cheap comedy movie from Adam Sandler, right? They're not going to invest large amounts of it just because they have a comedy movie starring Adam Sandler with a name such as big as Happy Gilmore, right? And it pains me to see the amount of AI that I think I noticed, right? You'd have to watch the movie yourself to truly figure out what I'm talking about here. And it just felt like, in general, and this is kind of like the whole takeaway that I would like you to take away at this point, it felt like Happy Gilmore 2 was a sequel that was unnecessary. And that's my opinion on sequels, right? I've never been a fan of a sequel except for like 3 or 4 times in my life. And it, while being entertaining, could have put some more thought into it, is all I'm really trying to get at. It could have been more original, right? Happy Gilmore could have, done more with his son and become like a older role model coach, and maybe it becomes a hockey movie. Maybe his son is a prodigy at hockey, but he fails at golf. Happy Gilmore raises a golfer because he's a famous golfer, but he's really bad at golf, so he goes to hockey. That there could have been multiple different ways that this movie plays out, and it didn't. It took a very safe route. It took a very easy route, and the sequel was just sequeling. if that makes any sense. But yeah, like I said, 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. I would rewatch it, but would I rewatch it soon? Probably not. So that's about it for now. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, comment, do whatever you got to do. But until next time, this has been The Kevin Show. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.